UndergroundVideoNetwork.com presents the We Talk Too Much podcast.
This is where the fun begins.
Comic books, superheroes, sci-fi, gaming, and everything nerdy.
That's it. This is just too weird.
Now, here's your host of the We Talk Too Much podcast, Mike and Richard.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining us for this episode of Underground Video Network's We Talk Too Much. I am Mike Boroff.
I'm Rich Ketterjohn.
Rich, how's it going?
Good. Long day.
Long day, yeah. I want to give a shout out to all of our, as of filming and taping this today was Free Comic Book Day and had a fantastic time. I was at Alter Ego Comics in Lima, Ohio. Fantastic turnout. With all the heat and how bad the weather's been the last week or so, you couldn't have asked for a better day. It was beautiful. I have friends that went to other comic book stores here in Ohio, like Pack Rat and the Laughing Ogre. They said the turnout was really good.
Comic Town had a good turnout.
Comic Town had a really good turnout. I saw a couple pictures from them. Had an awesome day. As you can tell, I'm still not quite used to talking too much. I got my free books, which when you're a cosplaying volunteer for a comic book shop at Free Comic Book Day, mental note: get your books, because by the time we're done, and it's just like, oh man, Scooby Doo's left. Nothing against Scooby Doo, but I made sure I went and got my books. But had a great day, a great turnout, had so much fun. It's only been a few hours, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of the photos that are going to be rolling in. And
yeah, because we weren't even scheduling a show tonight. This is a last minute thing.
Yeah, but I knew we didn't get a chance to talk last week. Once again, life got in the way. So much nerdiness has dropped the last couple weeks, man. We couldn't not talk about it. I think the big thing to talk about, to start at least, because there's so much, the Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, it hit theaters last weekend. Yeah,
and it took me a while. I just, my programming in my brain, I kept referring to it as the Suicide Squad 2, and it's like, no, it's the Suicide Squad. And I'll be honest with you, I loved the first one, but for me, this one was the Suicide Squad. I loved that movie. I legitimately watched it twice. It was one of those ones, Rich, where I watched it on HBO Max. We get no affiliate from them, no sponsorship. But as soon as I was done watching it, I'm like, the first chance that I get, I want to go see this at the theater. I can watch it for free at home, and my TV's no joke, but it's not a theater screen. And I'm like, I will pay the money to see King Shark rip a dude in half on the big screen. And I loved it.
yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I just like how they put the whole thing together, because we was like misdirected right from the beginning. I thought that was really cool.
Yes, James Gunn.
Spoilers, everybody. Sorry, spoilers.
Spoiler. Yeah. James Gunn, man, this is one of those movies where after you watch it, you really can't imagine anybody else doing that movie. And I really couldn't imagine anybody but James Gunn doing this movie. I'm familiar enough with his work. I know his style. And I was just like, this is what happens when studios actually are smart enough to say, here's creative control. We're going to step back. We might have a tweak here and there, but this is your baby. Run with it. And boy, howdy did James Gunn freaking run with this movie. But you're right. I loved the pacing of it. It had a little bit of that, like, Pulp Fiction bouncing back and forth, a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which
even throughout the whole movie, because it jumped like 8 minutes here and there.
Yeah, but I thought the way he paced it was very good.
Right.
Again, spoilers. I got a lot of friends that are really mixed about this one, and I don't hear too many complaints from it, but Rich, like one of the complaints that I heard, a couple of my friends were like, "Well, this one was way too gory," and I'm like, "Whoa, time out. Um, this is a Suicide Squad. This is an R-rated movie. This is one for us.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was gory enough. Man, the other complaint, I wouldn't even call it a complaint, but again, spoilers, people. Dude, the death of Captain Boomerang resonated so much with a large group of my friends that they were like legitimately, like their asses were chapped. Like, how dare you? We love this man. And I especially loved Richard at the beginning when they were all loading up into the airplane. The familiarity, the real sense of friendship that Harley and Boomer had. Hey, Harles, what are you doing back in jail? Oh, nothing, Boomer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't make a big deal out of it, but it was like so subtle, like, shit, they're really good friends. It was, you know what I mean? They had that buddy chemistry. But the thing about it is, though, man, you knew as soon as they hit the beach, it's like, oh, you're all gonna die. like you knew right goddamn away. Like one of the highlights of it for me, Richard, was Flula Borg as Javelin. Oh, to everyone listening and watching, you need to just Google Flula Borg, and especially Flula Borg when he's on Conan O'Brien. That dude is a genius. I will literally piss my pants laughing my ass off listening to Flula Borg. He is, oh my God, I absolutely love him. And Michael Rooker, and Nathan Fillion. I mean, it's like the standard with James Gunn movies. It's like contractual. It's like, if you want me to do a movie for your studio, you will put Michael Rooker and you will put Nathan Fillion in there somewhere. No hands, and my brother. At least three times. Yeah. My brother has to be in it 3 times. But we knew right away, man. It was just like, I love you. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. But at least when they died, that was spectacular, man. Even Rookers, dude, that was hard. Dude, he was killing it. It was just like super villain with PTSD. He was just like, I can't. I'm out. Like I don't even know what he planned on doing, Richard. He swam to the ocean.
No, I know.
Like, where was he planning on going? But he was like, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge.
But I just love that whole misdirection because, that allowed the other team to get in and everything. They were just slaughtering the lambs for the slaughter,
Yes. And that showed just how conniving that Amanda Waller was, because you can't tell me she wasn't. Like you said, that was the cannon fodder team. I fully believe she had no intent on any of them making it.
And if they did, they were just supposed to meet up with the other ones. They just figured that's what would happen, but not tell them that,
Yeah. But just that whole beginning scene, one just gigantic, spectacular failure that just dominoed. Like when Mongal grabbed the airplane and that turned into him getting killed, and then him doing it was. Oh, it was glorious. That was glorious gore, in my opinion. Man.
And of course, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn was just phenomenal. I mean, she just stole the show,
Oh yeah, and I really liked the direction they took with Harley, where I mean, she was still batshit crazy, but she did seem a little bit more focused. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sort of.
Well, her character development, like one of the scenes that really super impressed me was like the little stuff where it was like the little touches, like her jacket, like it kind of paid homage to the the first movie, and especially Birds of Prey, because you can definitely tell that this Harley was having nothing to do with Joker.
Right.
Like, she was over it. And even later, when the president dude was like seducing her and wooing her, and like, oh, and we're gonna do this, and if any women and children disagree, we'll kill them too. Harley was like, I'm not having that. Boom. But it was so classic Harley, because it was like it's like she had the self-care. She was taking care of herself. So I told myself, if I was ever seen any more red flags when it comes to boyfriends, I'll murder them. It's like, that's really good, but really bad, and she wasn't having any of it. She, like, no more toxic relationships for Harley, which was a great character development.
And that whole handcuff sequence where she did the ballerina thing to unlock herself and stuff, that was really her.
Oh my God, yes.
That's what I thought was impressive. That came out like a week after it and stuff, that they said that she could actually do that, and that James Gunn was disappointed that they didn't really get her face in that shot because he didn't have a good enough angle for that.
Yeah. Oh, she did. I mean, I hate to say it, because Margot Robbie is beautiful, and Harley Quinn is such a popular character. But she, like you said, she really did justifiably steal the show with every scene she was in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like forced upon. It was like natural. Like, it was her great acting that, just brought it out. And oh my God, the fight scene just after she escapes, when she's in that hallway. The one part of that I absolutely loved was like when she's killing everybody, but this was like typical James Gunn. When she was slamming that dude's head in the gate, that was like Family Guy, where it was like 5 minutes longer. It was like any other director would have been like, bam, bam, bam. Oh no, not James. Bam, 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 bam. Look at your watch. Bam, 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 bam. Did I leave the stove? Bam. It was.
Yeah. And then right after that, when she's outside and she walks up to Flagg and the other ones when they're trying to break her out, and she goes, "I'll go back in."
Oh yeah. Honest to God, Richard, that was one of those moments where, when we saw it in the preview, I told myself, if that's not actually in the movie, if that was one of those deleted or teasy scenes, I'm going to be I was so happy to see that they kept that in there. The other thing I really liked was I love what they did with Rick Flagg.
Oh yeah.
That character was so much improved since the first movie. Like, I genuinely really liked Flagg in this movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it almost seemed like he wasn't, it felt like he's gotten over being in the Suicide Squad, where it's like he's being forced to do this. This is his job. I'm going to do the best that I can at it. I don't, it's not a matter of the bomb being in my head. I have a job. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to take care of my people at the same time.
Yeah, I think like with his character, it almost made sense, because it almost like the first movie did happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? His character was the one that was the linchpin than anybody else in the whole movie, really. To me. I mean, it was a little different, so it might have been like an alternative version, but basically it did happen, basically, is how I was thinking,
And I like too that everybody else on the team has like a gimmick, and I don't want to say superpower, but there's Polka Dot Man, which we'll get into in a minute. Polka Dot Man, even Peacemaker with the helmet and the fancy guns. Bloodsport with all his stuff. Rick Flagg, t-shirt and jeans, dude. Let's do this. He didn't, you know what I mean? He didn't need no fancy equipment. Jeans and a t-shirt. Let's rock.
Right. I just think this movie was just, like fun. James Gunn always makes his movies fun.
Oh yeah.
That's what I liked about it. Even with, the introduction of Starro in the end, that was crazy.
Dude, I I loved it. I mean, when the trailers first showed Starro, because I'm like you, Richard. I'm old school. I know Starro. I have the book. I have the books with him. I've always been a huge fan of Starro. Just the whole concept of Starro was great, and I loved how they handled him. Not only visually, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like the level of detail, like the little pustules, like the bumpies and everything, and then the eye and the fluid and
And the armpit.
oh my God. Everything about Starro. And I loved too that he was quote unquote a villain, but again, it had a deeper resonance because he was the bad guy, but in his defense, he was effed over pretty damn hard. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it was NASA. The government found him and brought him back to Earth and imprisoned him. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe he wouldn't have been a villain if it wasn't for that, or maybe he was never really a villain. Maybe he was just trying to survive.
Great point. But was when he was dying, he said, I love that quote where he was like, "I was so happy just watching the stars."
Yeah.
Like, dude, if we'd have left him alone, he'd have been like, "Hey, float,"
Yeah, probably could have.
Yeah.
It sort of has like that Spawn feel. Like Spawn crashed on Earth or something.
Yeah. We're talking about Star Wars. We got
Not Spawn. I did it again. Venom.
Venom.
Why do I always reverse them too?
But no, that added a really good level to the story, and it was like the crux of the fight between Rick Flagg and Peacemaker, where it's just like Rick was done. He's like, "Look, I'm tired of fighting for a government that's doing dirty," but Peacemaker, he's all about I am all about freedom, and I don't care who I have to kill, for it. That was a great little crux, It's just like, hey, we're not as innocent as we like everybody to make out. As a Doctor Who fan, Peter Capaldi as the thing, I'm done, man. I can't. That was so good. He was so good. You should see. I wish I would have had better two-sided tape. As a joke, I didn't have enough to pull it off, but I found some two-sided tape I had around the house, and I dug out an old chess set. And I'm like, I want to see something. I had my head shaved. I was taping. I wish I was making this up. I was taping chess pieces around my head to see if I could pull off the cosplay, and it lasted for all of 5 seconds. It was just like, wait a minute, okay, let me grab my phone. Fall. But I'm like, oh, I want that to happen. And knowing Capaldi through Doctor Who, it was amazing for me to see him be such an asshole towards aliens. At any moment now, I kept expecting the TARDIS to show up and the Doctor to come out and, trying to save Starro. But he's like, no, man, and he was such a douche, too. Like, the one scene that bothered me in a good way, because I love Peter Capaldi, was when Ratcatcher 2 was just like, how would you like it if I had a dozen rats crawl up your ass? And Capaldi was like, you'd be surprised at what I like. I was like, I can't. I'm like, oh my God, man. Like, oh.
But yeah, at least we if you stayed through the credits, there was a couple after credit scenes, which was pretty cool because the one actually sets up the Peacemaker for his HBO Max series. So
yes, and I loved John Cena in this movie. Even this is one of those perfect examples of being a fan correctly. I hated Peacemaker, but I loved John Cena as Peacemaker. He was fantastic. His interaction with, I'm going to say his name wrong, and I can't even blame the teeth on it, Idris Albez, Bloodsport, who in and of itself, he was phenomenal. I liked at the beginning when they introduced him, they didn't make a big deal about it, but this is the guy that put Superman in the ICU from a kryptonite bullet. Moving on. You know what I mean? It wasn't a big deal, but it was impactful, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But the two of theirs interactions, they were the perfect foil for each other. Because I liked the way Bloodsport was just like, wait a minute, you said everybody on this team contributes something differently. He does exactly what I do, and he's like, yeah, but I do it better. God. And honestly, this may be one of my favorite movie moments. But the entire scene where they're going through the village and just picking up it's like they never broke eye contact with each other, but it was like a very Lord of the Rings moment where they were keeping score against each other. But I love the scene where Peacemaker puts his gun over his shoulder and shoots the guy without even looking behind his back. And Bloodsport's like, ha, non-fatal, you lose. He's like, oh, exploding bullets. And, you know, the dude just blows up. I loved it when Bloodsport said, nobody likes a show off. But Peacemaker's like, yeah, but they do when it's dope as... Again, I'm going to say it. Spoiler alert, and I'm going to say it. Yeah, but they do when it's dope as fuck. Which enough, I started laughing. But Bloodsport's retort when he looked at him was, damn, he's right. I was like, oh my God, man. Like, that was seriously good writing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and like I said, I hope this Peacemaker series works out pretty good because you never know what they're going to go with it. You know, I mean, hopefully they can pick up some of the original elements of the first Peacemaker. You know,
Yeah.
because Peacemaker was actually a Charlton character back in the day.
Before
he got bought out by DC, you know, and then DC has never done him right so far, you know.
Right.
At least in the comics.
I did. He didn't give too much away, but I did get to listen to a podcast here recently with an interview. Well, not an interview. I was listening to Nerdist, and he had John Cena on, which, by the way, I'm not a wrestling fan, but I like John Cena. The more I learn about that dude, I absolutely love that man. He is just the fact, Richard, that I found out that he stole, and I found out he really did. He stole the Peacemaker costume, and he did all the press junkets in the suit. I'm like, sir, you have my respect. But they talked a little bit about the Peacemaker series, and to hear him talk about it, I have high hopes for it. I really do, because it sounded like something that James Gunn and him are very passionate about. It wasn't like a money grab.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think HBO Max, I should say, is actually going to try to make some really good series with the DC properties.
Yeah.
I mean, like they already, you know, Stargirl is a lot better because of HBO Max, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, which we will get to that real soon. We'll wrap this up. The thing about a movie like Suicide Squad is when you have that big of a cast, it's really easy to overshadow or have very little character development for certain characters. This movie didn't suffer it. We got great backstory with Ratcatcher 2. A little bit with King Shark, but we really didn't need backstory for King Shark. He's a gigantic man-eating shark. Yeah. We didn't need to know his history.
Yeah.
Even making Polka Dot Man lovable and relatable. You know what I mean? I was just like, oh my God. Like when he was telling the story about his mom, and dude, I'm dying every time that they showed it through his point of view and everybody looked like his mom. And that shows how good of a team leader Bloodsport turned into at the end of the movie, where he's like, hey, you see that thing up there? That's your mother. Dude, that's leadership right there. But the movie really did have a lot of, I mean, for being a complete gore fest, I hate to make the cliche that it had a lot of heart. But Ratcatcher 2, the relationship with her and Bloodsport, that was genuine. That was a, you know, a dad looking after someone that reminded him of his daughter, and she was looking after him because he kind of reminded her of her dad, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But King Shark, man, I need more King Shark in my life. I loved King Shark, especially we've seen King Shark before in like The Flash.
Right.
This is the pinnacle King Shark. Not some big, oh, you know, I happen to be a scientist who changed. No. Big shark. Big shark. And even him warming up a little bit, like after he tries to eat Ratcatcher, and Ratcatcher 2 takes the moment to, no. Would you eat a friend? No friends. We're friends. And she kind of cuddles up to him. You're like, God damn it, I'm not getting the vapors from, you know, this girl cuddling up to a big shark, but they pulled it off. And that scene where he finds the we didn't know at the time, the killer little jellyfish.
Oh yeah.
New dumb friends, you know, and you see him playing with them. You're like, oh, that's so sweet. Then they try to eat him. But yeah, I did. I enjoyed the Suicide Squad so much. I'm still planning on it. I've watched it at home twice, Richard. It's not for lack of wanting to, but when I have time, it's still at the theater. I really need to see that one at the theater.
Yep.
So
it should be. It's good. I think it's playing it. Box office is really funky right now. You know.
yeah.
Movies aren't performing like they should. You know. Well, no one's really still wants to go to the theater.
Yeah. But another good reason to stay home, we mentioned it earlier, man. I have been excited to talk to you. I don't care if anybody's watching or listening anymore, Richard. I really don't. I wanted to talk to you about Stargirl. Yes! That season premiere was so goddamn good. And I was so scared, Richard, because
it was slow. It was really slow starting out. I was nervous the first 15 minutes.
Yes. But it did what Flash has not been able to do in like 4 seasons. It was slow, but it was character building.
Right.
You know.
But this first it just went like, oh no, we're not going to get anywhere. You know. Then all of a sudden it did. So you know.
Yeah. I like the idea of seeing the end result of. You never really see this, Richard, in movies or shows like this where, hey, there's this big threat. We all have to get together and work as a team and defeat the bad guys. And then they defeat the bad guys. And then, you know, Flash is bad about this. Was like, as soon as the bad guy is defeated, hey, there's the new bad guy for the season, you know, right over there.
The raccoon. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yes. Seeing how Casey was trying to deal with it was like she was not coming down off the adrenaline rush. You know, we have a teenage girl who's decided to be a superhero, and we got to see how it was affecting her normal life. And I absolutely love Luke Wilson. His talking to her like, you have got to balance your superhero life with your life.
Right.
Like, that was a genuine, really good dad-daughter moment. And I refer to him as her dad. I'm not saying that, not the incest, but that's her dad. And oh man.
And we got to see Green Lantern's daughter, who is Jade. I remember when I looked it up real fast, she is going to be Jade in the series. Fast, I was right, but I thought I was wrong. So I was right.
Right. Right.
It was weird. After watching that, I go, wait a second, that is, oh yeah, it is, you know. And I loved how they were, you know, fighting and destroying the kitchen. That was crazy.
Oh, dude. as a man of my age and a homeowner, that scene made me cringe. Like, I could watch Suicide Squad and watch dudes get ripped to half, and it didn't faze me. But like when she destroyed that kitchen counter, I was just like, oh, sweetie, do you know how much kitchen counters cost? Oh, come on, time out, take it outside. But I mean, in Casey's defense, the girl did break into the house. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
She did break into the house. I mean, she could have legitimately just like knocked on the door, like, "Hey, you know, I think you have my dad's lantern." No, she broke into the house.
I just hope they can use that character to move on. You know, hopefully they can use and incorporate her within their their little group. You know.
Yeah, and even seeing like the aftermath of everything that happened, how it affected all the kids, you know, Sandman. I can't remember, Richard. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know we all know who it is, but I don't remember them actually ever showing. He's feeding Solomon Grundy. That I firmly believe that's Solomon Grundy's the one that's like breaking into the. Like, what was the one? Like, he broke into the waffle place and stole like all the waffles and syrup, or whatever.
And took syrup somewhere else, or syrup.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah.
I think we all know that's going to end up being Solomon Grundy, and it's going to be like this weird kind of big brother, little brother relationship, which I'm excited for. We got to see Dr. Midnight, her dealing with the loss of Chuck.
And might be back. You know, it was rebooted. Yeah. So I don't know how that's going to play out through the season, you know.
Yeah, but I felt so bad for her because it's just like, yeah, she has her group of friends, but she's one of those people, and I can relate to it, which is like, we don't make friends, you know, we didn't make friends very easily in high school, and she saw Chuck as her friend. You know, there was no like AI involved. Chuck was her friend, and now he's gone, and she's having a hard time dealing with it, and everything that's going to be going on with her parents.
Yeah, I think it was a great start. I think the season hopefully will be as strong as the first season. You know, first season was like really good. You know, so they got to live up to a really good season. You know, so.
And a great thing about this episode was, the last few minutes of it had like season finale moments, or like post-credit moments, is what it felt like.
Oh yeah, it did.
When the girl goes down to the JS or the ISA's headquarters, and she never says it, but you know that she's in the machinations of reforming the ISA, and she's going through the folder. And that last one was Courtney's little brother.
Right, yeah.
And you're like, oh, shoot. And then a second later, we saw the return of, again, spoilers, people, we're too late. Seriously. Joe McHale.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, like, I'm looking for your husband. And such a great, not joke, but she's like, I'm looking for your ex-husband. She's like, oh, which one? The one that likes stripes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh. I'm a little selfish in loving to see Joel McHale come back for two reasons. One, I love Joel McHale. That is a funny dude. I think he's Community, Talk Soup, everything. I'm a huge Joel McHale fan. The second reason why I want him back in that suit, because I want to cosplay Starman. I had been on the search, Richard, from episode 1, season 1, episode 1, man. Like, somebody's got to be making that suit. Like, nobody has made that suit yet. I'm like, come on, man. I can pull off. It's going to be hard to find a decent one, but I can find a wig, and I don't have to shave the beard. It's like, I want to be Starman, but I really did, Richard. I was not disappointed in the season premiere. Like you said, it was a little slow.
Yeah.
But at least unlike Flash, it didn't feel like an empty episode. Everything that happened in that episode, slow or not, was laying the groundwork for like that whole season.
Oh yeah.
And that's very well written.
And the other mechanic that he brought in that found his armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what that's going to lead to, because I was trying to look up names and I couldn't find much on it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, and you know what was funny, Richard? It was one of those moments where I related to him. not the dude, but I'm like when he heard the tinkering and he walked in there and he saw the dude looking at his robot, and like you're not supposed to be back here. It's like I was relating to that. Like, dude, get the he was so much cooler about it than I would have been. Like, dude, I told you not to get the hell, you know. But at that point, he didn't have a choice. How do you disguise a 20-foot tall robot?
Right. It's got a flamethrower. It's got a flamethrower.
Dude, I will grant him this, though. I love the way the dude handled it in stride. Like, sometimes a man's got to build a 20-foot robot. You know what you need? A flamethrower. I'm like, I don't know who you are, but you pissed me off and impressed me within 5 minutes. Oh, I loved it.
Well, speaking of robots, you know, we had the season finale of Bad Batch, and that little robot that saved their lives. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you, Richard. I love Bad Batch. I was a little let down by the season finale. It didn't feel like a season finale. It felt like there was one or two, like that felt like the episode before the season finale.
Yeah, I think they were going to do that season, and if it didn't go over well, they were going to do a movie, I think.
But it just, maybe I'm jaded and I expect too much, but I was like, I was expecting a little bit of a cliffhanger. This felt like a bookend.
Yeah, well, they kind of do wrap up, like the Clone Wars didn't have, you know, they always had those sections. You know, they did stories telling this section, and sometimes it didn't even fall in chronicle order. So, you know,
right.
But at least we did get to see what happened to the cloners. You know.
Oh yeah, and that answered a huge question. Like after, like the trilogy was like, what happened to the Caminos? You know, they went from clones to stormtroopers, but what happened to what happened to the people that made them? Oh, we found that shit out.
Yeah, they worked on the Empire.
Yeah.
And they made Snork. Oh.
Yeah.
It does make sense, you know, the way they did that, and
yeah,
the couple of scientists over to the Empire and stuff like that. You know, it really, like you said, the Empire filled a void. There was a void after the war, you know, and there was this power gap, and they moved right in. I mean, that's what happens when you have civil wars like that, you know.
Yep. And I really liked the development where it wasn't this last episode, but it was the episode before when we found out that Crosshair didn't actually have that inhibitor chip.
Oh yeah.
No, he's just an asshole. There's no chip telling him to be a jerk. He was just an asshole. And you could see it even in like Wrecker's face. Like that was kind of like heartbreaking. You know, it was just like, ah, man, you're really that bad. You know.
Yeah, I was really concerned that they was going to get off of that. You know, when the whole platform sunk and they were doing that, and they just happened to land on the tube that took them back to where they were. That was
yeah. Although that is one thing I question though, is I know that. Well, no, never mind. I was gonna say I question that they targeted the city, but they didn't notice this platform with the ship over. Now, granted, they weren't looking for it, but the thing about it is, though, when you have a ship full of hundreds of thousands of troopers, you're telling me somebody didn't look out a window? Like, dude, there's a helicopter pad over there.
It might have been masked, though. They might have had some kind of scrambling around it or something.
True. And I'm thinking in like Terran technology where the tube couldn't have been that long. That tube could have been 200-300, miles long. They could have been on the,
Right. Well, she even said, or the robot explained that they had some kind of like field that keep those undersea water creatures from attacking it.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So, and weather-wise, probably underneath, the weather and stuff didn't affect it as well. And that's where they had the hidden laboratory for,
Very
where they
true.
made, because sounds like the scientist was tampering with the clones, and that's the one that the Empire brought in to work on the Emperor's clones. So
Yeah.
it really makes sense,
I did like how they addressed that. It was such a great twist that Alpha was actually older than the
Oh,
Bad Batch. Like I was there when you were made.
yeah.
It was like kind of, like a little bit of mind blowing right there. Like, wait a minute, what do you mean you were there? You're you know what I mean?
Yeah, she was created the same time as Boba Fett was, right?
I
'Cause they're
think
supposed to
so.
be
Yeah.
they're supposed to be like brother, sister, something. So,
Yeah.
maybe down the road, maybe in The Mandalorian or even the Book of Fett, she
Oh
might
my
be still
God.
around.
Oh my God, to see her as an adult. Oh my God, dude, you got me excited now, man. That I
I'm
would
just
love to see
seeing the
that.
possibilities, that they could go with this because you know how they love to keep all those tied together. Something over here
Yeah.
happens, something here happens. That's why this happened. I mean, they're keeping new canon, but at the same time, they keep some of the old stuff still moving forward.
Well, when they brought in Fennec from the Mandalorian into the Bad Batch,
Right.
that she was one of the bounty hunters that was chasing Alpha.
Right.
Like that moment alone was like, that's awesome. So yeah, especially knowing that, I think that's a great idea, Richard. I would love to see, especially in the Book of Fett. It'd be a great moment, Richard, where it'd be very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi, where Boba Fett's walks into the throne room, where Alpha in some kind of similar armor, might not be Mandalorian, but
Right.
she has that moment where she takes the helmet off, and the two of them lock eyes, and they realize who each other. Oh my God, I need that to happen so bad.
Or she draws her bow back on him or something.
Oh, I need it to be canon where even as a full grown adult, she still has that bow. I love that idea. But you see what I mean, though, Richard. Even it was a great moment at the end. It was great character development with her interaction with Crosshair. But at the same time, it was just they got into the ship and left.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars, when you end stuff in Star Wars, it doesn't leave you hanging as much as you think.
True.
Because they do stuff in those books of sequences. It feels like everything's a chapter. This chapter has this chapter, and this chapter has this chapter. So, I mean, you look at Rebels. Rebels was always that way. Clone Wars was always written that way. Everything was always wrapping itself up. But there's little pieces, like how X-Men, how Claremont used to write X-Men. This little piece always had to go to the next part, though.
Right.
So you always constantly had this little bit of a soap opera going on behind, but you actually got your storylines wrapped up pretty good. So I think I'm just happy to hear that's been renewed for a second season. So at least we'll get some more.
Too.
Yeah,
I really was. Because we talked about it before, Richard. It didn't seem like Disney put much effort into, I don't want to say advertising because they don't really advertise, but it didn't put a whole lot of thrust into Bad Batch. It happened again last night, Richard, where luckily I remembered it was Friday and I remembered the show was a new episode. But when I went to the app, it was still like 5 or 6 things down. I mean, I passed through Monsters Incorporated, Black Widow. I passed through all this stuff before I got to the new episode of Bad Batch. I'm like, why aren't you guys putting this more front and center?
I just think they're concentrating on the Marvel stuff, now
Very
that we
much.
got the multiverse. So, which leads us to our next thing.
Man, what if? Richard, you're like me. I was very excited about this because What If was one of those comic books I really did that even before there were pull lists, like Comic Connection, that was always on my pull list. And what I loved about What If was even the stories that I didn't really know anything about, the what if stories were still really good.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean, Rich? Like, even if I didn't know what the original story was, like, this person picked up that, I didn't know the original story, but the what if books were always really well done when it made the story itself really good. So I was like super fingers crossed that this was going to be good. And I was really happy when I first heard that it was going to be animated, because when you do something animated, the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
There is no
You
bound.
don't have to worry. Yeah, you don't have to worry about special effects or anything. You can just draw it. Yeah.
And they could not have picked a better story to do the first episode. That was phenomenal. That was some damn fine animation. Did you notice though, Richard? The one thing, it didn't take me out of it, but it almost took my brain a second to wrap around the different style of animation. Like that, for me, that style of animation wasn't anything I'd really seen in Disney ever.
No, it's a little different. Yeah.
You know what it really reminded me of, Richard? And I actually went back and I watched a couple of things. It reminded me of Don Bluth, like The Secret of Nim. Titan AE is a good example of it.
Oh yeah,
Just it had that feel to it, that style to it.
Yeah. Well, what I liked was when you watch it, you always you had the first Avenger in your mind when you was watching it, because that this is where it changed. This is where it changed, and things, because you would think, oh no, this is going to happen. Oh nope, it got changed. Like Bucky. You got to see the train. They're on top of there. Oh no, we're gonna lose Bucky again. Oh nope. It was really cool that they kept having them little segments where straight out of the movie, but yet it goes in a different direction.
When Captain Carter rescues Bucky in at this point, or not the Howling Command, it's not the Howling Commandos, but like Dum Dum Dugan,
right?
And God bless Disney for this, because they really did bring back as many people as they could for the voices. I mean, even if it was only like a couple lines, when you watch the credit, that was Sebastian Stan as Bucky. That was Neil. Oh, I'm ashamed of myself because I really like the guy. And I know Neil McCall, the guy that played Dum Dum Dugan.
Right. Yeah.
That was him.
But like you said, the animation was good. I just hope they keep going in this same direction with each episode. I hope they
did. Yeah, it did. It took me a good couple minutes watching it to really, like I said, it was like my brain was telling me, you're watching Disney, but my eyeballs are saying, this isn't Disney. And I think it really worked in their favor using a very different style of animation, because this is this is what if, this is a parallel, this is a multiverse universe. We want not only for the story to feel different, we want the look of it to feel different. We really want you to understand how different this is. And I really think going with that style of animation really helped cement that idea.
So does that car commercial give us a little hint of what might be coming?
Dude, I thought about that too, and I told myself not to even. I'm like,
okay, we don't have to go there. But
I'm not going down the WandaVision rabbit hole again, where But I was so excited for this because I have so many friends. The idea of Peggy Carter taking over for Captain America was really introduced not that long ago. I think it was a game, I think, where they introduced Peggy. I like the way they did it too, because in the game, or when it was first introduced, or the concept was first introduced, that Peggy Carter was the super soldier. She was still looking like Captain America. The costume was very similar, had the star, the shield looked very similar, it was the same shield. Right. I like that they didn't placate to the fans and make her Captain America. No, bitch, I'm Captain Carter. And already, God, Richard, this is another reason why I love cosplay and I love cosplayers. I've already seen phenomenal Captain Carter cosplays, and it was, I liked the way they handled it too, because
even after becoming a super soldier, like that one general still wasn't having it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not having this, you know. And it was so snidely. Where she's like, I don't like you. I don't like you. Was that Mr. President? Oh, she had my full support the entire time. You know, even I was flipping off my screen like, screw you, douche, you know. And I love the small little jokes between her and Steve. The fact that they really kept the relationship between Steve and Peggy, I absolutely adored, because it was a reminder that Peggy really did kind of fall for Steve Rogers and not Captain America.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And to see it played out that way, that she's still, you know, like, that's still my sweetheart, you know. And I love the line where Steve's like, I owe you one. And she's like, no, you owe me more than one. You owe me a dance. I was like, that moment, I was like, because knowing everything that we know from the Marvel universe and the end of the, Endgame, like when she said that he owed her a dance, I was just like, oh, my heart. And having Steve be the pilot of the Hydra Stomper.
Yeah.
I like it. The only thing I would have liked even more, Richard, was, of course, we had to have Steve Rogers do it. But a little tweak, Richard, that I would have loved to see even more was if they would explain why the reason why we chose Steve was he's a tiny dude. We couldn't fit. I didn't design the suit for a big dude. I needed a tiny dude, like Steve fit the suit perfectly. Like if Peggy tried to get into it, it would have been, like, too small. But it was a great concept. Wondering what would have happened if the U.S. military had gotten the Tesseract.
Oh, yeah.
Let me rephrase that. If Howard Stark got the Tesseract. Let me rephrase that. Howard Stark got the Tesseract. That was... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it worked out good. You know, we got to see earlier version of the Iron Man suit, which was really cool then.
That was dope. That was so damn cool. And I'm on the hunt right now for anyone listening or watching. I've been to a half a dozen places. They made a Lego set of Peggy Carter with the Hydra. I haven't been able to find it anywhere. If you have any leads, contact us at undergroundvideonetwork.com.
Mike needs his Lego fix.
Screw you, Richard. You don't know me. You don't know me, Richard. I got to share real quick, though, Richard. We'll get back on topic, but I brought it up. The one set that I was super excited about because they released a new line of Marvel Lego sets, and a lot of them are going to be from the What If, like the Hydra Smasher, and I think they're going to do one with the Tony Stark where if he'd worked with Wakanda. But one of the lines was it was a smaller set, but it was from like Endgame. There was like a little bit of the Avengers Mansion or the Avengers compound and Thanos. What I was super excited about was Luis's van. And the reason why, and as a nerd, I am super pissed off about it. Richard, do you realize every time I go to like Walmart, Mart, anywhere, I go through the Hot Wheels. I see all these funky, very old it's Iron Man's F1 racer, and not one, Luis's van. We have 100 different Batmobile diecast cars, not one van. Thank you, Lego. I got Luis's van. Rich, check that out. Not only does it say XCOM on the side, on the back, it's got the little sticker. I'm showing everybody. The back of the van sticker is a little Ant-Man with a couple ants, and it also has the quantum tunnel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, So God bless Lego for not only they did it. Nobody else was going to touch. Nobody else was going to touch Luis's van. Why would we make a brown van? Because people like me want the brown van. We're not going to do it. Lego, we'll make a van. We got you. We just had to figure out a way to do it. We got you, and I got it. Look at that. My only disappointment was I have a Scott Lang and I have a Hope Van Dyne figure. Where's my Luis? I need a little Lego Luis, man. If anybody from Lego was watching, especially Brickmaster Amy, which I love you, Lego Masters box, love the show. I need a little Luis, man. That's all I have. But I'm done. I'm off my Lego rampage. my Lego rant. But yeah, I am ridiculously excited for What If. The first episode, super impressive. The story was great. The way they're handling the Watcher,
Yeah.
you know, and I like how they did it too, Richard, where it's just like, here, this moment right here is where everything changes. That's all it took, Richard, was that one little. What If comics were really good about that too. It wasn't like a drawn out story. It was, what if Peggy stayed on the floor and hadn't gone upstairs in the viewing? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
One little moment.
Yeah. Yeah. It just seemed like that. How I think the whole series is going to be based around like one moment changes everything. You know, that's
Yeah.
where because it goes back to Loki. You know, that's how these whole multiverses start was because
Yep.
one little moment in time changes everything. You know.
Yep. So, Rich, have you got anything? We luckily, the people watching and listening, there was no new episode of Flash, so you don't have to listen to me bitch about how awful it is anymore. We won't go into it because we're going to wrap it up real quick. But Legends of Tomorrow, still, dude, if you'd have told me that the entire episode was going to focus around a bowling alley. Oh, I loved it. I love the fact that show still refuses to take itself seriously.
Bowling alley. Not only was it in a bowling alley, but the dude was using the Earth as a bowling ball. That's all I'm gonna. I loved it. I loved it.
And the third season of Titans kicked off on HBO Max.
Yes. Yep.
And they dumped 3 episodes on the very first week, which was really wild.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't catch up. I only could squeeze in one on Friday because I get a break in the new job I got with the newspaper. I get a break on Friday for about 3 to 4 hours. So I watched one episode, and that's all I could squeeze in besides watching What If and Bad Batch. So
yeah. Rich, anything else you can think of? I think we're pretty much tapped out.
No, it just seems like things are starting back up again. You know, hopefully we can keep things going. You know, I don't know. It's just this is a weird time right now. You know, because it's almost time. It's really weird. It's almost like fall season started a little bit earlier. You know.
I know. Somebody, it was my friend Amanda put it very well, Richard, and I couldn't agree with this more. It was almost like 2020 was the balls out, drunken, pass out on the floor, throwing up in the toilet, alcohol poisoning year. 2021 was the next day, the hangover. It's not quite as bad, but you're still feeling kind of rough, you know.
Yeah. It just seems like we have these ups and downs this year, you know.
Yeah, it's like a hangover where you're like, all right, I'm good. Let me sit up real quick. Oh no, I'm saying, oh no, I sat up too quick. You know.
Oh, I do want to do a quick shout out if it does happen. I will have a table at Space. It's been confirmed. I got my confirmation back, so I am setting up a space. I'm not sure what all I'm going to have yet because I'm starting to finalize stuff. Hopefully we'll have some prints. I'm thinking about actually taking a couple of those glitch arts that I do and make some limited edition prints and have them available besides all my little mini books because I do have a new one I've been working on.
Oh, awesome.
I'm doing limited color cover. So
That's great. Well, Rick, I'm super excited for that. Richard, perfect opportunity. Can you tell everybody where they can find out more about that and more about our show?
yeah, you can just head over to undergroundvideonetwork.com. That's where you can find the UVN Plus, our video archive of over 800 and some videos for the last 18 going on 19 years. And you can find it all there, or you can also find all our links to all our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram. I did take down the link to MySpace. They've been pissing me off. So
Now that is an end of an era, Richard. Now I
yeah.
feel old.
Well, ever since they erased all our old videos that were on there, they had an intern. I like that. They had an intern working, didn't know what this delete button, hit a delete button and deleted their whole archives,
Oh my God.
But just find us there and follow. We do some flashbacks episodes, so we do spotlights from the UVN Plus archive, and we try to have this UVN We Talk Too Much stream available. I know I'm a couple episodes behind on the archive, but you can find them either through all the streaming, the podcast. You can listen to us that way, or catch the video on Facebook or the other social medias like YouTube and stuff like that. So
cool. So on behalf of myself, Mike Orp, and my good friend Richard Catterjohn, thank you for watching and or listening. We hope everybody stays safe and healthy, and we really can't wait to see you at a future con and or show or just out and about. We're here real soon. So take care, everybody. And if you would kindly, Richard, please press the button.